Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has begun. Our guest, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, or alternately, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, you may apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. Our requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure that it reflects your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video and audio contributions may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please remain muted when you're not speaking. The US turned back the time. I think it's called daylight savings. But don't be confused. It was just by an hour, not by a number of years, because today, acting as president is a throwback remix from the beginning of online presenters. Today, we have the original president of online presenters to take us through the meeting. Help me welcome David Carr.
Thank you, Joni. It is my job today to be your Toastmaster of the day, to lead a well-organized meeting, as well-organized as we know how to make it. Our theme of the day is planning ahead, actually something that we're thinking that we need to do a better job of still in this club, making sure that we have a plan, not just for this week's meeting, but for next week's meeting. We're working on it. We're going to be doing better over the coming weeks. This is a club that is focused on online presentation skills of all sorts. So it's supposed to be the place that you come to learn how to be a webinar master, to lead online classes, online seminars, online marketing programs, and certainly online Toastmasters events. To organize our meeting today, I have some helpers who I'll introduce in just a few moments. But first, we have an element of the meeting that is something we've been trying out for the last few months, I guess, is that we have a tip of the day to start us off. So this is some kind of an educational moment. It can be a technology tip, or it can be a leadership tip. And our tip master, I don't know what if we call it that, but the tip of the day today will be from Krithika. Krithika, what do you have for us?
Thank you, David. I would request to have sharing permission.
Apologize if it's not turned on. All right, that's on for everybody.
Okay. Let me quickly start before she gives me the access to share the screen. So international cross-cultural alignment and orientation.
The access is turned on. You can share your screen whenever you like.
Okay, yeah, it works now. So international cross-cultural alignment and orientation is inevitable in this world as we try to co-create and succeed as organization or as an individual in today's dynamic world. This is irrespective of industry sector or institution across geographies. Nurturing this kind of cross-cultural awareness is essential in the whole aspect of working together. Leaders, especially who are not born but made are supposed to be aware of this cross-functional and cross-cultural awareness. There are certain assessment tools for assessing one's leadership skill or as an individual person to nurture and build himself as a better leader. So considering this aspect, my tip of the day is going to concentrate on certain leadership assessment tools which are available, and that will help us to nurture better leadership skills in us. Few of the tools are free and few are paid oriented. Today, we will discuss about 6 major tools, the leadership assessment tools. The first tool, DISC, is a simple assessment mechanism of an individual who could be targeted as a task-oriented or a people-oriented person. Analyzing his dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, he is measured with certain set of questionnaires, making him to fall under either of these buckets. A still more detailed orientation of a person's trait is required to study more about an individual, throws us towards Myers-Briggs type indicator, popularly called as MBTI. This is in existence over 50 years that categorizes an individual into 16 personalities. It differentiates based on 2 contrasting characters like extrovert versus introvert, combining it with rest of the characteristics like thinking versus feeling, sensing versus intuition, judging versus perceiving. So such a combination gives the individual's personality traits to be elaborated more. A bit more focused approach is the Gallup Strength Finder. Gallup Strength Finder is a Clifton assessment, formerly called as Clifton assessment, has a leadership framework which says an individual's natural talent multiplied with the key experience, adding the focus development towards an individual provides a leadership strength, provides a complementing leadership strengths in him. This Gallup Strength Finder not only works as an indicator for leadership skill development, it also works for different other societal and workplace indicator measurement criteria, which is also quite useful. Although this is quite informative and quite important because of the fact it can nurture and it can develop the weakness in an individual to become a better leader. The fourth one is a civil leadership assessment. This type of assessment is based on a set of questionnaire on measuring an individual's aptitude as well as the personal traits, like what kind of cultural orientation a person has, which is quite important in this dynamic world and quite rigorous changes that is happening. The fourth one is the Enneagram test. Enneagram is kind of profiling a person based on the behavior. 9 types and each type having 2 subtypes, basically 9 into 9, 81 different categories are being projected in the Enneagram person profiling methodology. This gives a deeper understanding of a person, especially when a decision is made by a leader, and if a decision is a success or a failure, this Enneagram test gives us a deeper digging into the action as well as the reaction that is being captured and the motivation behind the decision. Similarly, when we have an organization fall, it is quite important to understand using this Enneagram test. A much more simpler version is the USC's leadership style self-assessment test. This gives what kind of leader you are, like a servant, frontliner, transformational, meta-modern, or post-modern kind of a person. It doesn't help you to identify your strengths or weakness. Instead, it identifies your style. Though leadership skills and their decision-making capabilities for a leader is based on or influenced by the geographical region, especially the decision-making, communication, and the dark side tendencies, which is being coined by Harvard Business Review in a popular article. We also depend on the cultural context of typical style and the behavioral tendencies, which becomes an asset or a weakness according to the circumstances. So this is about today's tip of the day. Over to you, Toastmaster David.
Great, thank you. And now it's just about 5 minutes, which was our target. So terrific.
Yeah.
So to organize the rest of the meeting, we're going to try and have a very diligent approach here. We're going to be organized, and we're going to rely on a few folks to help out there. Actually, one of those people you just heard from, our timer today, is also Kritika. Kritika, can you explain how you'll be performing the timing function and why it is important?
Definitely. Thank you, Toastmaster David. Today, as a timer, I'll be evaluating the 3 sections: the prepared speech section, the table topic section, and the speech evaluation section. The prepared section goes for 5 to 7 minutes. 5 minutes, I'll glow a green, and yellow will be glowed for 6 minutes, or when it reaches 6 minutes, and red for 7 minutes. We are going to evaluate the table topics for 1 to 2 minutes, 1 for green, 1.3 for 1.1 minute and 30 seconds yellow, and 2 will hold a red light. Similarly, the evaluation section will run through 2 to 3 minutes. 2 minutes, I'll glow a green light. Then 3 minutes, it is going to be yellow, and 2.2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll glow a yellow, and by 3 minutes, I'll glow a red light. So this will be the pattern that is being followed over all Toastmasters Club, and that we follow over here as well. Over to you, Toastmaster David.
Terrific. We also have an on counter who's also our vote counter. I guess she just likes to count things, which is Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, can you explain what she'll be doing?
You're right, David. I like to count, and today I'll be counting your grants, and I'm already counting, so be careful. I will count the awkward sounds, the strange noises, and all the grants, and I'll be counting the votes for your favorite prepared speaker, impromptu speaker, and evaluator. And at the end of the meeting, I will give you my report. Back to you, David.
All right, wonderful. We also have a grammarian, which this evening is Mike Woodall.
We most certainly do. We have a grammarian who has been planning ahead all week long for this grammarian role. I've been quite diligent, as a matter of fact, in setting up and planning for this role, especially as I was putting in my new Green Bay Packers bathroom in my garage. As I'm doing all this work, I'm thinking about how I could use the word diligent. And I'll tell you, putting that bathroom in, I've had to work diligently in keeping that a priority over other things my sweetheart has on the list. So today I'm going to be looking for the word diligent. I'm going to be keeping track, and I'm going to give a report at the end of the meeting. I'm also going to be looking for exceptional use of the English language. And if I pick up something that just kind of makes me kind of look back and think a little harder, or laugh or smile or what have you, I'm going to be including that in on my evaluation at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Right. Now, I was just about to introduce our watcher, who would be doing a diligent job of watching our body language, watching our visual presentation, except that was Kim Lerming, and she seems to have evaporated from our meeting at the moment. I think she'll probably be back. And so when she comes back, Kim will be watching. And if she doesn't come back, I'm sure the evaluators will give some folks some feedback along the way about what they did well, what they didn't need to perhaps improve about their use of this visual stage. With that, I think we're ready for some speeches. And so our first speaker tonight is Gregory. Is it pronounced? How do we pronounce your last name, Gregory? Just so.
It's Bundschoks.
Bundschoks.
Yeah.
Bundschoks. Gregory Bundschoks will be doing his icebreaker. He actually gave a different speech last week, and I was kind of telling him, well, you haven't introduced us to you yourself, so maybe as a result of that, he's circling back and doing an icebreaker tonight. He's doing it out of the persuasive influence path. The icebreaker is pretty much the same across every path. His title is "Who Am I?" And his introduction is how to become. And he hasn't spelled B-com. That's interesting. So how to become as a result of where you came from. Gregory.
Oh, I just lost my screen here. Hold on a sec. Should we go again? Oh my God. Folks, I don't know why it didn't pull up. There it is. All right. Can everyone see that all right? Yeah.
Very good.
So as far as the meeting ends up going, as a theme of planning ahead, I think my icebreaker is going to be quite appropriate with regards to that. I've spent a lot of downtime to recognize or spend that time learning from a quote of wisdom dwells in contemplation. And as a consequence of some health contemplation or complications that I've had a fair bit of downtime. And I'll explain my little path here on that. And when you have that downtime, I've come to realize that us human beings are the sum total of only two ingestions, what we take in information and what we take in nutrition. So as a result of looking back in time, how do I take that past to become the version of who I'd like to be, and how do I become that? And that's the essence of my speech for us today. I actually grew up on a hog farm in Water Valley, Alberta. And when you end up being around hogs like that in a stinky environment, it's pretty hard to get a lot of dates. So it became quite an introverted type of an individual. And I guess that allows me an opportunity to become a little bit more of a thinker as such. And I do like delving into rabbit holes. And one of the things that was fundamental for me was growing up on that hog farm. And you see so many people abusing so many animals and pets all the time. But we were so different in the fact that we actually gave love to our animals. And as you can see in one of the pictures here, where the one lady is scratching on the belly, we actually had an entire herd of about 120 sows with 800-pound boars that would literally come up to you. They could literally rip you apart, but you start scratching them on the belly and they would literally lie down on their backs and allow you to scratch every single aspect of them. And I think that growing up in a farm kind of gave me a little bit of a biophilic or a love for life type of an attitude. But one of the big things that always drove me was playing hockey. And this actually picture here is a picture of my dad. And my dad actually played against Pele and won Canada's most valuable athlete. So I have a little bit of an athletic talent behind me, and my game was hockey. And unfortunately, at the age of 17, I cracked my neck. So that kind of changed a lot of things for me in a lot of different ways. And then when I found that out when I was 24, I had a motorcycle and became aware of the world of motorcycle accident and opiates. And a long time of dealing with a lot of pain, you start looking at the world in a little bit of a different way. And there's been a lot of hard challenges and like deep tunnel and trying to find that light at the end of that tunnel. And it's been pretty hard. And recently you end up getting some brain scans and such to see what's going on, because sometimes it just doesn't seem like it's going quite right. So you try to figure out what's happening. And in that downtime, I came across a quote once that said, we're essentially born with two lives, and the second one starts when you realize that you kind of wasted the first. So, and that kind of comes along even with regards to the quote that we end up having here from Mercutius is, we do only have one life. So what's happened? How do I want to fix what ended up happening to end up becoming a better version of myself? How to become. So it's not just to be, it's how to become. So as a result of all of those challenges I've had in the past, I decided to go back to school as an old fart at 50 years of age to end up getting a degree in horticulture, a Bachelor of Applied Science degree, because my mission for the rest of my days in life is to heal through plants. So I ended up starting a company called Ceres Esoteric, and through that company, I basically provided a roadmap of exactly how I intend on creating the future for myself and planning ahead as a result of some diligence and some of the information that I've learned over time. And as a consequence, I have put myself in a situation where I believe that I can be deemed a fairly reasonable resource with regards to food security as a risk analyst and cultivation modeling, to end up being, and what I do is to model a future of human health through edible plants. And that is who Gregory Bundschoks is for the rest of my days as I'm planning forward diligently. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Great. Wonderful. Yes, sir. Our second speaker for the evening, Andriy Smolenko, our VP of Public Relations, among other things, and a longtime member of this club. He's working in the engaging humor, level 3, increasing knowledge, engage your audience with humor. And his title is 93% of Toastmasters clubs don't do what we do. Andriy will explain.
My fellow online presenters, guests, did you know that online presenters, we do only what 7% of all Toastmasters do? I just was wondering if this is a good thing or not very good thing. Surprisingly enough, I'm not the only one in the club who is wondering. More than that, there are a number of culprits who are on the same boat with me. In fact, probably since meeting 1 of our club, we've been doing things wrong. How did that happen? Stay with me and I'll tell you a story. Well, as the Vice President of Public Relations, one of my duties is look after our website. And we have a YouTube channel together with David Carr, and we have, most importantly, Facebook. My favorite. Just look at our page and you can see it's about 1,000 likes on our page. Pretty impressive, you would say. I would say that too. Well, then, let's have a look at Toastmasters International Facebook group. Does anyone know the difference between Facebook group and Facebook page? And if you do, just lift your hand up. I think that will save us some time. Basically, Facebook, thank you. It's an online community where many Toastmasters around the world are supposed to hang out together, share stories, have a laugh, and perhaps share some tips as well. So I thought, right, we have those 2 amazing things that I could perhaps use into our PR advantage. And what I thought I could do, I ask provocative question. Provocative question that's supposed to bring many likes, many comments, and some engagement to our club, at least online. And what I did, I post a question. Does your club record meetings and put video replays for public view, for example, on YouTube? I posted question and I waited. I didn't have to wait for a very long time. Within, I would say, about a day or 2, the post I'm going to show you now became one of the best sellers, or most engagement it has reached on Online Presenters Facebook group. I'm not sure if our guest today is Henry Kruger, saw that post on online, and this what brought him here. We will find out later on. But if you're ready to find out the real true story behind that answer, please look at your screens now. According to the public view, I'll just make it a bit larger. Here we go, it's over here. So according to the public view, Toastmasters don't like recording and then publishing the whole online meetings. And only 7% do that. The rest, the majority of all the online community, they just don't do it. There are a number of reasons behind that. I thought, right, well, let's find out. I read some of the comments. Right, for example, look at this one. We record the speeches and attach the evaluations in private Facebook group. Huh, which is not bad at all, I thought. Right, let's move on. But there were a little bit more not that friendly comments. For example, like this one. Someone is using a background of copyrighted image, having that video out there could potentially open the club to litigation. No way. I'm sure I'm not the only one, and it's not my fault. I just put the question, and I just wanted engagement. And I started being a little bit shaky. I don't know if we're doing the right thing here or we're not. Luckily, at least someone came to the help in that battle of comments. One of the lady, she praised our club and said that she did post her video online, and that was valuable experience for her. Yay! And then I thought, right, at least something is happening, something I could do right. And then I pay attention again on the number of people who voted, number of people who put their comments forward. There are many of them, 104 and 37 comments. Well, I was shocked and I didn't know what to do, but then I realized that at the same time, on the same Facebook group, our founding president, David F. Carr, was bragging about that he's on BBC News. Way, I thought, great. So that's supposed to be it. To my surprise, his post just got maybe 1 or 2 comments. I thought, well, something isn't right then. Something isn't right. What else we can do? So what I did, I made a post on our Facebook page. By the way, after the speech, I place it in the comments. You can see it yourself and ask if we're doing the right thing. Again, there more people responded. Some of them with quite blunt comments. I don't want to be recorded and placed online. So fine. Now, some people were saying we were ahead of time. Underlining that story, there are 2 things I wanted to do. Thing number 1, gain publicity to our club. And I just want to ask Henry, our guest, did you hear anything about that story about this club doing something that 97% clubs don't do?
No, not at all.
Now you know. Now you're in the right place, and thank you for coming. My fellow online presenters and guests, I think we are doing the right thing because we're right at the front of the progress, as we have always done with online presenters. So we're right. Back to you, Sir David.
All right. Thank you very much, Andriy. Maybe I'll offer some comments on that a little bit later on the actual policy issue there. But we have first a third speaker. We have Dr. Andrew Bern is speaking out of Leadership Development, Level 2, Learning Your Style, Understanding Your Leadership Style. Title is Knowing Your Leadership Style. And the introduction is Knowing Your Leadership Style can impact how you approach leadership. Dr. Bern will share his leadership approach. Andy. Andy, you're muted.
You hear me now? David, can you hear me now?
Yes,
right.
you're good.
And if you could restart my timing here. All right. Welcome, everyone. My project that I'm speaking on today is leadership development. You would think that might be a simple project. Toastmasters, after all, has said for the last 100 years that leadership development is the second component of a three-pronged approach in Toastmasters. The first is communications. The second is leadership. The third is service. Three legs of a stool. If one looks at leadership, you can say, oh, that must be an easy topic to master. But if you go to Google and put in the word leadership, you'll find that there are 6.8 billion articles on leadership. Clearly, no one has the correct answer for what leadership is. If they did, everybody would agree on it. We wouldn't have almost 7 billion articles to go through. John Maxwell is one of those gurus that talk about leadership. And he answers the question, how do you know if you're leading? And his comment is sort of a quip that says, if you turn around and see if there's nobody behind you, then you're not a leader. A leader is someone that leads and has people follow them. So I'm going to talk about some stuff in my life that looks at some of the moments where I thought I had leadership. Hadn't really thought about it a lot. The first component was I'm a physician, recovering physician in the sense of I'm not in actual practice right now, broke my leg and couldn't do it, I'm recovering. But in medicine, at least the time that I did medicine, the issue was for the people that let you into the medical schools was, are you an independent thinker? Can you do your own study of what you need to learn? Are you a self-starter? That was the criteria that they were looking for. They weren't looking for people that were team players. They were looking for people that were able to do it on their own. Just give them a little bit of a push, a little bit of a push. Some of the moments that I recognized during my individual leadership exposure was really orchestra and the band. And when I was in college, EMS development, where we as a college tried to solve a problem that required us starting our own EMS service. And I was actively involved in that. Look back at those times and said, was I a leader? Perhaps. This project asked me to evaluate what kind of leader skills you had and how to recognize that in others. After medical school, I entered Toastmasters. The focus had changed from being an individual player to focusing on team building and development as a team. Effective communication dependent on team development. And we learn those skills every week at Toastmasters. We have different roles, such as Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster focuses on having individuals learn leadership. And that's what I've done during my time here in Toastmasters. I've had an opportunity to be a leader at the club level, a leader at the area level, a leader at the division level and district level. And to a large extent, I've learned by monitoring how people perform. When one looks at the written material from Toastmasters, they have 8 different characterizations on leadership. And that includes different styles. Now, if you were to ask amongst the styles that are out there, and they include authoritative, affiliative, pace setting, innovative, democratic, coaching, altruistic, and bureaucratic. Which style are you? I know I haven't defined them yet for you, but I want you to think of this. Authoritative. Who would be a personality that would characterize authoritative? Genghis Khan comes to mind because his lifestyle and his management style was one of do what I say or I'm going to cut your head off. People tended to follow his commands because they like to keep their heads. The other person that I think of as I was growing up, when you talk about leadership style, is Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. And he actually, let me turn this on here. He actually has a book on Amazon, which I really liked. It's called Star Trek, Make It So. And the main thing you'll see in Star Trek is that whenever he has an important decision to make, he'll make the final decision. But prior to that, he'll call everybody into the conference room. And I'll go around the conference room and I'll ask each one of his officers, what do you think of how we solve this plan? Or how do we solve this issue? And they would go around the table and everybody would come up with their thoughts. And he'd make the final decision. So did that make him authoritative or democratic? Different ways of looking at things. And I think that one of the things that we have to look at when we look at our own leadership is how do we do things? Are we in a coaching mode when we take someone that's brand new to Toastmasters and say, we're going to have a contest, and they come back and say, I've never participated in a contest. I don't know how it runs or what to do. The coaching mode would be leadership where you teach them how to do the program and what to go do because they don't know. All right. So that's one thing that is possible. But then there are other forms where you can show a pace setter, where you can say to them, this is how it's done, and lay it out for them. So there are different ways of doing that. As I said, I'll be happy to pass out a sheet on this. I'll put it in the chat. There are 8 different styles. And the reason that's important is if you're forming together a team, let's say you're doing a contest, you don't want to put all individuals that have the personality of a dictator in the same room because then no one gets the work done. Everybody's fighting to be the chief. And so this is an important concept of leadership. Toastmasters is set up to help everybody learn leadership skills. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bern. May we have a timers report, please? Oh, we have it in the chat. And
For Gregory, there was a technical difficulty from my end. I have noted it. It is 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
okay, very good. Actually, I think Andy went over by a little bit.
Actually, I timed myself, David, and I did not. I was at 7:24.
Okay, well, all right, we'll let you
Remember, we had some technical difficulty at the beginning when I restarted.
That's fine. So the vote counter will post the link in the chat in just a moment, and which you can, our guests, you're welcome to vote. We have an online voting system that we've been using here. And so before we go to table topics, we do have a chunk of the meeting where we have reserved to do some official business. It's usually supposed to be for inducting new members. We don't have a new member tonight, but we do have some business to discuss. Grant, can you lead us through that discussion?
Thank you, David. Hello, everybody, and my apologies for my late arrival. I'm, as you can probably see, on a cruise ship, and I was giving a lecture, and it went a little over what I'd hoped. We have an issue with the club, and that is that the Vice President Education has reluctantly withdrawn from her role and, in fact, from the club, which means that we're currently missing a Vice President Education. There have been a number of proposals have been put. The one that I'm going to put to the meeting, or at least I'm going to ask somebody to put to the meeting on my behalf, is that the position of Vice President Education and President be declared vacant first. So can I have a motion from somebody that the positions of Vice President Education and President be declared vacant? Would somebody like to move that?
Point of order, Graham.
Yes.
The point of order is we don't have a quorum. So what I recommend is we talk about the proposal and then send it to the entire membership as an email vote, and then get that back. And then at least we've reached everybody.
Well, the people who are here tonight can cast their votes.
Yes, they can.
You can record that, and then you can.
Yeah. If we can record. So we have a motion that the positions of President and Vice President Education be declared vacant. That was moved by Kim Leeming. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Jim Barber. I do have somebody taking note of this. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour that those two positions be declared vacant, please raise your right hand. Anybody against, please raise your right hand. That's carried. So we now have two positions which are open. Again, from the chair, my proposal is that David Carr step up to the role of president in an interim basis until the end of the current cycle, and that I step into the role of Vice President Education. Before I put that to the vote, are there any objections to that? Anybody else have other suggestions? There being no further discussion, I'll ask somebody to put that to the motion, to the vote. Can somebody please propose a motion that David Carr be appointed as President and Graham Cairns Vice President Education? Would somebody like to move that, please?
So moved.
Moved by Andy Bern. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Seconded again by Jim Barber. He got in there first. The motion is that David Carr be appointed as President and Graham Cairns as Vice President Education. Do we have any further discussion on that? In that case, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate by raising your right hand. Anybody against, please raise your right hand. The motion is carried. I would ask now that this vote be sent to all members of the club, asking for them to ratify this vote, because we do only have, by calculation, we have 10 of the members here, which is not a quorum, because we haven't set up anything in our rules which state that if you don't turn up, then you're not an active member. We don't have that, so we have to go with an actual quorum.
I think we actually do have something in our rules that if you haven't attended regularly, I
thought we had a rule that if you didn't attend 3 meetings in a row, then you were considered to be inactive, but I can't be certain whether that still holds. Is that the case? Does anybody remember?
So I will tell you, as VP membership, when we do a new member vote, and this came straight from Andy Bern, that the quorum is based on the paid membership, and then if we have, the votes are, if for all the members who actually vote, obviously that counts as a yes vote. And for those that don't respond no, that counts as a yes vote. So I'm not sure, but that is how we've been doing it. We've been getting enough votes not to ever have to enact that, but that is the actual rule that we go by on the VP membership.
I think for out of an abundance of caution, I would ask that these motions be sent to all members, asking them to ratify that vote. And that, assuming it goes ahead, means that congratulations, David, on being appointed as president of Online Presenters. And my commiserations on being taken over the role of Vice President of Education.
Well, yeah.
And now I hand control back to you as Toastmaster, David.
I will. You have my condolences on having to take over the record-keeping roles, and but you know we'll work together as a team to try and coach the club in the right direction. I did want to mention actually on the issue of recording the meetings and why we do that. One reason is that if you talk to the more experienced, the professional speakers, they will tell you that one of the most valuable things you can do to improve is to look at the recordings of your own performances. So if you're told that you said a million times, you can go back and check the record. And you can make your own judgment about whether you really did it excessively or whether it's just people being nitpicky. There's no personal opinion concealed in there, but anyway, but still, you know, it's there first and foremost, so members can go back and see them, and they're public because this is an advanced club, and we've always said that if somebody did something horribly embarrassing and it was recorded, we would make that recording go away. But other than that, we share them so that people can come and look and see what goes on in this club and why they might want to be part of it. It's just another way of getting our message out. And I think it was included in the Sergeant of Arms warning that we may mine that for our public relations purposes, which might be why Andriy is in favor of it at the moment. Is that if there's some good stuff in there, he can pull it out and turn it into some kind of a commercial or promotion for our club. So with that, we should move on to table topics. One of the, in addition to all the other most important parts of the meeting, table topics is one of the most important parts of the meeting. And our table topics master or mistress or dominatrix for the evening will be Joni Renee Laidlaw. Joni.
I knew I should have planned ahead and brought my whip. I'll remember next time and be more diligent. Table topics. It's everybody's favorite time of the meeting where you randomly get picked on to answer a question that you were not prepared for. Now you have 1 minute to 2 minutes and 30 seconds to make sure that you stay in that time when giving your table topic speech. And everybody already got told I'm a dominatrix, so make sure you use the word of the day. So for the first question, I'm gonna ask Carolina Ramirez. We have a Jamaican phrase, while man a plan, God a wipe out, and I'll translate for you. While men are planning, God is erasing. Do you have a similar phrase in your country?
That was a big grant. Joni, can you repeat the phrase you use in Jamaica?
While men are planning, God is erasing.
We have a similar phrase like the devil is in the details. And the meaning is that you have to check the details as well, to check the big picture and the details, because if you don't plan enough to be conscious about the details, maybe your plans are going to be failed. I think that is a phrase that it's similar. It's similar comparing what you have in Jamaica, and I think that you have to have a balance, because if you plan a lot, maybe you are going to take too much time in go ahead with your plan and with your actions towards your goals. But if you don't plan at all, maybe you're going to fail in your mission. You have to find the right balance in order to achieve what you want. And it's not necessary that it hasn't to be perfect, but you have to plan and take some actions according what you thought before. Back to you, Johnny.
Thank you for that, Carolina. The devil is in the details. That was also a phrase that I am quite associated with as well, which leads me to my next question for Graham. If you don't plan, then you plan to fail. If you don't plan, then you plan to fail.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm assuming that was for me. I wasn't quite sure, but if you plan to fail, then you fail. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail is the way that it's often expressed, and that is true. I've long held the belief that whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right, and that's a saying that's attributed to Henry Ford, but could be anyone. If you fail to plan, then you are in fact, well, if you plan to fail, you're silly. But if you fail to plan, then you are effectively planning to fail. I have had a tendency over the past 60-something years to just throw things up into the air and hope I can catch what I need as they fall down. It doesn't always succeed. I will be quite honest about that. My wife is sitting opposite the desk, opposite the table here, just shaking her head in, yes, if you could only see our life. But I actually enjoy the sensation of having to operate without a net. I enjoy the sensation of knowing that I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. I mean, that doesn't stop the fact that I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night with William Safire, who is an author and journalist who wrote political articles and novels, described a word that he described as clong, which he defined as, and I hope you'll excuse the mild obscenity, that sudden rush of shit to the heart. Now, we've all had that sensation, and I get that when I fail to plan, which is planning to fail. But that sensation is actually really quite innovating at times when you get past it, when you suddenly realize, oh, the world is not going to end because I forgot to do this. The world is not going to end because I haven't written the last of my lectures for a cruise ship tour that I'm about to do, and I've only got 4 hours before we're due to get on board. But sometimes it does make sense if you plan ahead of time, because otherwise, if you fail to plan, then yes, you are planning to fail. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Graham. I too fly by the seat of my pants, and it is how I will transition into the next question for Henry. Richard Branson said, when offered an opportunity, jump and build a parachute on the way down. How does that allow for planning?
Just repeat. When you jump out of an airplane, you've got a parachute opening. Can you just repeat
when you
it?
get an opportunity, jump and build the parachute on the way down.
Oh, okay. When you get an opportunity. Awesome. With businesses, when an opportunity gets thrown onto your lap, as I see that, building the parachute on your way down is basically building on that opportunity that you've been given. And I feel that that's a very valuable statement that Richard Branson made. I'm very fond of him as well. I follow him on all social medias, and getting that quote that you just mentioned would definitely stick to my mind for the rest of this week, and using that in my own business as well, to build the parachute on the way down, and hopefully get the parachute built before I hit the ground. So, Madam Toastmasters, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
I agree. Always take the opportunity and try to figure it out as you go and hope you don't hit the ground. Vice President Membership, Kim, tell me about your diligence. Tell me about your diligence.
Well, that's a wonderful question and very appropriate today, since if I appeared to be diligent, I would have had everything working and not had everything crash on me and have to come back 20 or 30 minutes later. So I am actually quite a diligent person, but since I'm Blandini, things just seem to go wrong. I would love to be totally diligent. And as I put in the chat, I do believe my name should now be Kim, technical difficulty, Leeming, or Blandini, the technical difficulty. Anyway, I really do try and be diligent. I am anal retentive, not as much as my husband is, but I'm definitely have those tendencies. And I try to cross every T, dot every I, plan every minute of every day. And yet I still have things like what happened today happen. So I will try and be Kim diligently going forward. But at the time, I apologize for being Kim technical difficulty leaning today. Thank you so much. And back to you, Table Topics Master of the Day, Joni Laidlaw.
Thank you, Kim. I learned to be diligent from being married to Murphy for way too long, so I can relate. Jim, what happens when things just don't go to plan?
Madam Topics Master, I call that life. When things don't go according to plan, that's kind of how my day starts. That's how my day progresses. That's how my day ends. And frankly, I don't have a whole lot of luck in sleeping according to plan, because generally I require that I get a good, I plan rather, that I get a good solid 8 hours of sleep, but my bladder objects to that about halfway through the night. And so I can't really get my 8 hours of sleep that I want. So, and during the day, it's just, I'm continually making things up. As Henry indicated, when you get an opportunity, you seize the opportunity. Well, you make up the parachute, you build the parachute on the way down. I build my entire day on the way down. I wake up in the morning, I plan things just for the heck of it, just to see how it's going to go. It doesn't work out. Generally by 10 o'clock in the morning, everything is gone to heck, and it's going in another direction altogether. I make new plans. It doesn't do any good. Well, I think we've got a saying that my grandmother told me. I don't know how widespread it is, that man plans and God laughs. God has been having a real belly laugh when it comes to my plans lately. Nothing has gone according to plan. Now, this is just a temporary thing. It's been occurring since, I think, 2014. But one of these times I'm going to get through that, and I'm going to be able to make a plan and stick to it. At least that's my plan, Madam Topics Master.
You are so lucky. I've been having it since birth. But
we better stop it there, Johnny.
I was just about to ask, and back to you, our Toastmaster.
All right. May we have a timer's report, please?
Yes. After diligence work, automation failed. Sorry for the interruption. Carolina took 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Graham took 2 minutes, 02 seconds. Henry 1 minute and 1, Kim 1 minute 38 seconds, and Jim 1 minute 48 seconds. Over to you, Toastmaster David.
All right, everybody qualifies, so watch out for that voting link. Let's kick it on over to our general evaluator, Graham Cairns, to lead us through the evaluation portion.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. In fact, we will move to the evaluation section. We're running a couple of minutes late, so I'll get straight into it. And I understand our first evaluation today is going to be coming from Jim, who will be evaluating Greg's presentation. So, Jim Butler.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Gregory, I am so looking forward to giving to this evaluation. I am privileged to be evaluating your icebreaker this evening, your first officially your first presentation. It's actually your number 2 presentation, but officially your icebreaker for online presenters. I have been warned in the past that I tend to overuse a certain word, and so I'm going to be diligent this evening in avoiding the word great. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure how good I'll do, but I will do my best. Now, Gregory, I'm going to be evaluating your presentation from the point of you're doing business presentations, because you indicated that you've got your business and you want to use video presentations, either webinars or video courses or something like that, to promote your business. And that's a great thing, and I'm going to be evaluating you from that point of view. 3 things I'm going to evaluate right quick. First one is content. Your content, I won't say was great. Your content was August. I looked that up. Your content was excellent. You were solid. You obviously have a passion for what you're talking about. You believe in it. You expressed it very well. Your presentation was well organized. Everything worked. Content, 4 stars. Excellent. The audio portion of it, again, you nailed this. I won't say it was great. It was beyond great. It was terrific. How's that? You are conversational. You don't preach to us. You simply talk to us, and that's engaging. That's very good. You approached the subject. You talked with us. You were holding a conversation. I enjoyed the way you did that. Your vocabulary is strong. Your gestures worked very well. Everything in your terms of your presentation was very good. Now we move to the video portion, and let's see if I can pull this off. I got it. It worked. Okay. All right. In the video portion, this is what we saw when you were presenting, and you are on that screen, but it's we need a magnifying glass basically to pick you out. And the problem is, for a business presentation, although you think your content is the most important thing, actually you are the most important thing. You are the star of this presentation. As the business owner, your credibility is standing behind your message. So we need to see more of you. How you go about doing this is something you're going to have to just work at. Kirthika did a nice job earlier in making herself part of the slide that she was doing. And you need to do something like that to make yourself a part of the slide that you're doing. Also, you presented the slides as a group, and it would be a lot more effective if you could present them individually, one after another, so that we could actually see what they were. But work out these visual details. The rest of your presentation is rock solid. I won't say it was great. I would say it was extremely effective. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thanks, Jim. That was great. No, thank you very much, Jim. That was a terrific evaluation. Thank you for that. Let's move on to our second evaluator today, and that is Mike Woodall, who I understand is going to be evaluating Andriy Smolenko's presentation. So, Mike, it's yours for 2 to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator Graham. I found out I was evaluating Andriy Smolenko. And first I thought, wow, this is going to be tough, because there's not been one presentation I've heard from you, Andriy, that I haven't enjoyed thoroughly deep inside of me. There's something about a natural gift that you bring to the table of presentations. You are a conversational style speaker. And when you look in the camera and you communicate something that you're passionate about, you melt your audience. I don't know that you know that, but now you do know that. But you have a presence about you that people want to see more of during your presentations. For this presentation, your quality of your video is spot on. I don't know what camera you're using or what have you, but the video quality is excellent. You showed a lot of yourself, as Jim mentioned in his evaluation about you being the star of the show. You were right there, front and center. The presentation logo at the top left corner I was seeing. I don't know if you can get rid of that or not. That would kick it up just a notch. But your presentation video quality was just excellent. Moving on to your, I'm not going to go down item by item and give you your 5s and 4s and your 3s or what have you. What I do want to say is to pick it up just a little notch. I would say eye contact is what you're missing. You looked like you were reading on the screen, and I lost eye contact with you as an audience member. But when it came to the closing, it's like you threw away your paperwork and wadded up the speech and threw it away, and you just eye contact direct. And it was just awesome. There's your natural gifts that you bring to table in full illustration during your closing. So thank you for another presentation, and I look forward to the next one. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mike, for that, and thank you for your insightful thoughts. I'm going to be diligent in moving on, so I'll move to our third evaluator today, who is the dominatrix of the club. Here she is, crack, crack, whip, whip. Here's Joni.
Distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Bern, I could see that you were diligent when you went through the Toastmasters project. You stated, eventually in your speech, all of the different types of leadership styles, and you went so far as to offer to drop in the chat for those of us who needed details, because I can speak for Gregory in this case because he was at his icebreaker. He hasn't discovered his leadership style yet and probably wouldn't understand what you mean if you just overall gave a comment on the leadership styles from level 2 in Toastmasters. That's a good thing to do to give a little idea of how it works for those of us who didn't do it for a very long time and for others who may not have come across it yet. I liked your pace and your tone, and I liked the fact that you included gestures. You did the 1, you did the 2 when Captain Picard went around the room. How I could suggest that you improve is that you need to realize that when we're here and we're framed, you actually have to make a concerted effort to raise your hands. Because sometimes your gestures were lost right here, because when you did them, while you did it, and I could see it, but can you see what's happening with my hand? My name is blocking it. So that was happening, and you had a lot of space above your head, so you could actually have framed a bit more down so that it would flow more naturally. But what you can do is look at yourself and see where your hands fall. And sometimes you have to make the effort to go up. I did say that eventually you told us about the leadership styles and how they are, but I didn't get who you were, what your leadership style was. Now, here is where I'm going to assume, because when you were talking about Captain Picard, you said, and I go around the room and ask, and then I ask them. So I think you are drawing the parallel between you both, that you're democratic and he's democratic. But I'm still here waiting to find out What did Andrew get? Like, I can tell you, I'm a coach, and every single time I do it, I cross my fingers and hope that democratic does not outshine coaching. It always helps to lead with, this is the type of leader that I am. And that's why I'm speaking to you, because you did give us some personal stories, but I didn't know how to connect them to the leadership style because you didn't tell me what it was. The other thing is, when you ask me a question, I have an answer. I always have an answer. We've heard it today. I am the dominatrix. I have a response for everything. So if you ask me a question and you run on, I feel like you weren't actually asking me, and that loses engagement. Pause. I know somebody who goes 1, 2, 3 in their head to give a time to answer. And it also helps me to tick the box for audience engagement, because we get the chance to either unmute and answer or actually answer. Overall, loved your speech. Looking forward to reviewing what you dropped in the chat. Back to you, our general evaluator.
Thank you, Joni Laidlaw. Can I ask the timer, did all 3 of our evaluators meet their criteria between 2 and 3 minutes 30?
Digital evaluator Graham, yes, all the 3 evaluators are qualified. Jim took 3 minutes 29 seconds. Mike took 2 minutes 39 seconds, and Yoni took 3 minutes 20 seconds. Over to you.
Fabulous. So all 3 are eligible to be voted for best evaluator of the meeting. Please keep an eye on the chat for the link, which will allow you to vote for those roles. Now, moving on to some ancillary roles, and we are running out of time, so if we can make these fairly brief. First up, the AMAR counter is Carolina Ramirez.
Hi, Graham. I was counting the votes. Yes, congratulations to those roles who didn't have any grant: Andriy, Joni, Graham, Jim, and Jim. And you have been very diligent in avoiding fillers and grants. For the rest of us, our favorite grant was A and Congratulations to the winners of the counter skill. No, the avoiding fillers skill. Back to you, Graham.
Thank you, our Wizard of R's. That's Carolina, and I'll let you go back to counting the votes now. Now, we've gone from the Amanar to the grammarian's role, and grammarian today was Mike Woodall. How did we go?
Was and still is. The meeting isn't over yet. What a powerful word usage today in this meeting. The word diligent was used more times than I can actually count. There was only probably one person in this meeting that didn't use it several times. But let's not call David out in the meeting here. But that was just being a little humorous. The interesting stuff today, though, there was some powerful usage of the English language by Gregory. Gregory used, he said, we have actually 2 lives. Some people say we have 1 life to live. He said we have 2 lives to live. One is pretty much the one that we were handed and given, but the second one is when we have a reclamation of ourselves. You kind of lost me in the rest of the speech because I was just cogitating all of that information with such little words. The other one was the word issue. Now, I'm not here to just communicate the positive uses of the language. I'm here to listen for language. So when you stepped up and was talking to people about the issue that we have, you actually kind of stuttered because you didn't want to say issue. The club has an issue. You kind of stuttered into it. You didn't know how to explain it. What I would suggest is, instead of the word issue, we could have used something like, there is an opportunity for personal growth before. It is unusual. It's an anomaly for something like this to come up midterm. It's rare that that an officer's spot is available. You now have this opportunity. It didn't have to be an issue. No one knew it was an issue until you told us it was an issue. So anyway, that's my report. Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator.
Mr. is close. Thanks. Thanks, Mike. All right, let's move on to the watcher and oh, crikey, that's midday. The watcher and chat monitor is Kim Leeming. Kim, it's yours.
So not expecting that to be me because I missed most of the meeting. So I'm going to make the meeting go really quickly and say, I will sign up to do the same thing next week. And back to you, Graham.
All right, fabulous. Do we have a result of the votes, Madam Vote Counter?
Yes, the winners. Best evaluator, Johnny. Best table topics speaker, Jim Barber. And best speaker, Andriy Smolenko. Congratulations to the winners.
Thank you to all three winners. Thank you to our vote counter for today. Thank you to our timekeeper, Katika, who's done a fabulous job, to David, who as Toastmaster has kept the meeting moving along smoothly. I'm sorry I missed the first couple of minutes of the meeting, but what I saw, I really enjoyed. Great evaluations from all three. One of the things I really appreciated with all three evaluations was that they not only pointed to ways for the speakers to improve, but also pointed to things that the speakers were doing well and should maintain. And that's something that we all too often ignore in our evaluations. So congratulations to all three evaluators. I thought you were all great. And see, I can use that as general evaluator. But no, seriously, well done, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for your contributions. That's the general evaluation from me. Back to our Toastmaster of the day and incoming President, David.
Great. Thank you, Graham. This would be a good time to ask our visitor, Henry. Henry, what did you think of the meeting? What brought you here today? I don't know whether we necessarily got that out of you, whether you are particularly interested in learning online skills, or this is just a more convenient way for you to attend. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced today and why you're going to come back.
Yes, it was a great meeting. Just to jump in with that great word. No, it was lovely. I really enjoyed the meeting. When I joined back in Paraparaumu, that's on the other side of the New Zealand island, there was about 50,000 people around in that area. So the meetings was quite big. I was the Vice President of Education for a long time and so forth. And in the area where I'm now, the town that I live in, I think we've got about 5,000 people around here. So it's very small. A lot of farms, kiwi fruit farms and avocado farms and so forth. And I was at a Rotary meeting the other night, and there was a Toastmaster again, and they go to a meeting about 30 kilometers from here, but 30 kilometers on our current roads in New Zealand takes about an hour. So I was looking for a more better way to meet. And also me and my wife would like to do some more online presentations and so forth. We're busy with a digital course that we would like to put out there at one point. And that's what drew me to your club. I went onto the Toastmasters webpage. I started looking around for clubs that meet only online. In New Zealand, I couldn't really find. Most of them meet in person. And I saw that your time was also convenient for me. You might hear in the background that my boys just coming back from school now, so it might start becoming loud all of a sudden. So it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday in New Zealand, the 7th of November. So this is a really convenient time for me as well. Yeah, so I will definitely see you guys next week.
All right. Well, we look forward to having you back. And you
Sounds
up-
like you found the perfect place that what you were looking for.
Exactly.
And you didn't have to go 30 kilometers. You just need to go to your living room.
Exactly. To my office.
All right.
And maybe you picked up on the fact that Graham is in the same hemisphere, at least is Australian based. So
Okay.
It was good having you today, Henry. I look